postgraduate with a PhD, Dr. Manwani has been recognized for his contributions to education and the National Award as a role model of empowerment of persons with disabilities from the President of India. He is a distinguished Toastmaster, having won numerous awards for his eloquence and public speaking. Passionate about empowering youth and creating inclusive environments, Dr. Manwani has mentored over 21,500 students and professionals, making a significant impact across various sectors. His life's motto, touching lives, making a difference, reflects his dedication to uplifting others and driving positive change. With a huge round of applause, everybody, please help me welcome our very first speaker, Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, onto the panel.
My grandfather used to tell me a very interesting incident which happened in his life. He had a neighbor who had a large piece of agricultural land. And this was during the British era, and one of the British officers came up to this man who was my grandfather's neighbor, and he said that we are suspecting some activities in your farm and farmhouse, so we want to do a thorough check of your entire area. My grandfather's friend said, okay, but please don't go to that small land piece over there at the back. The British officer got really upset. He took out his card, he showed it at the face of my grandfather's friend and said, see here, I'm an officer. Nobody can stop me from going anywhere. Understand that? And he thrust the card again at his face. After a few minutes, when the British officer had gone for the search, there were a lot of screams which were heard at the back. When my grandfather and his friend went back, the British officer was being chased by a mad bull because he had gone into that area. And my grandfather's friend was shouting, now please show him your card, please show him your card, please show him your card. But most of us are like that. We invite troubles in our life by going into areas which we shouldn't go, and that area which we shouldn't go is called worry. And we get trapped in this very difficult area called worry. And what is worry actually? Worry is just a feeling of anxiety which is caused by a sense of helplessness and being out of control. And what does the mind do? The mind wants control. Just like the body wants calories, the mind wants control. So what does it do? It repeats those problems in your head again and again and again and again, giving you a false sense of security, giving you an illusion of control, but actually you're not in control. It's just giving you a temporary relief, it's just giving you a feeling that you're in control, but you're not in control. So how do we overcome this entire menace of worry? So let me give you 3 strategies today. They are called the 3 R's to overcome worry. Let's start off with the first one. It's called recognize. Please recognize the fact that there are some things which are completely out of your control and you can't do anything about it. You're stuck in a traffic jam. You keep worrying. Is it in your control? No, it's out of your control. You're worried about your grades in your exam. You've already written your exam. Can you do anything about it? No. Then what do you have to worry about? It's completely out of your control. You're worried whether your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife is not responding to you. Are they under your control? No, they're not under your control. You can't do anything about it. You're worried about a neighbor, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. But they're not under your control. You have to understand the fact that there are certain things which are not under your control. And once you recognize the fact, you feel a little less worried. Let me give you a story. There was this girl who was around 8 years old who went up to her mother and she told her mother, Mommy, how was I born? The mother started worrying, my God, at this age, what is she asking this question? So immediately she told her, I was sitting outside the house and there was a vulture which came and she dropped you off in my lap. So this girl told, okay, Mommy, and she went off. After 2 minutes she came back again and she said, Mommy, how were you born? Mother was worried. She said, oh, how do I tell her again? She said, no, your grandmother was sitting outside in the veranda and that vulture came and dropped me off into your grandmother's lap. Again this girl went off. After some time again she came back and said, how was grandma born? She said, same thing. Why are you asking? Her mother was sitting outside in the veranda. a vulture came and dropped out of in her lap. Then this mother started worrying, what happened? Why is she asking me this question again and again? And she went inside and she saw this 8-year-old girl was writing an essay on my family tree. And in that she had written, there has been no normal birth in my family for the last 3 generations. And that is nothing but you're worrying about something which is not there. It happens with me. When I'm in college, I was in the parent-teacher meeting and these parents come and they ask me about their children and their students, and they ask me, sir, what is going to happen to my son? What is going to happen to my daughter? How is he going to become? What do you think he'll be in the future? And I always tell them, they're excellent, they're fantastic, they have a bright future ahead, they have excellent potential. So one of my friends came and asked me, do you tell everybody that their children's future is excellent, they have a great potential? I said no. Generally I see their academic performance, I see their extracurricular activities, and I also see whether their sports activities are good, and if they're good in any one of these three, I tell them they have a great future, they have an excellent potential. So my colleague asked me, but what if they're not good in any of these three? I tell them, then I tell those parents, you know, your son will become just like you, sir, correct? Your daughter will become just like you, mom, correct or no? And then I get over the particular situation, and you have to believe that there is something called heredity, right? So what happens is, you worry about unnecessary things. Now how do we come out of this worry? By recognizing things. There is a 3-step framework which you should remember. 1, ask yourself the question, do I have a problem in life? No. Then why worry? Go to the 2nd step. Do I have a problem in life? Yes. Can I do something about it? Yes. Then why worry? 3rd step. Do I have a problem in life? Yes. Can I do something about it? No. Then why worry? So, the whole question is why worry? When you recognize if it's not in your control or it's in your control, there's no need to worry. Let's go to the 2nd step and the 2nd strategy. I'll tell you a small incident which happened. I read about this incident in a newspaper some months back, and there was this forest in North India where there was a huge black bear who climbed up a pine tree around 60 feet high, and people could not get him down. They got these forest wardens, they got these animal behavioral specialists, they got veterinarians, they got these game wardens, and they tried everything. They showed honey, they tried to woo that bear down, but it wasn't coming back. Finally, after around 8 hours, they shot tranquilizers at that big black bear, they kept the net down, and nearly after 8.5 hours, the bear fell. But the most strange thing was, when they went to see the bear, it was not actually a bear, it was a big black garbage bag. And most of our problems are like that. We think them off to be as bears, but they're not actually that big as we think. And that's the 2nd strategy, which is the reality check. Is your problem so bad that you're actually making such a big mess out of it? There was this man who called up his house, and his servant picked up the call. And as soon as he picked up the call, this man said, "Where's madam?" The servant said, "Sir, she is in the room with a man." This man was really worried, he got really irritated. He said, "What? Do one thing. There's a drawer right on the right. Open that drawer, take out that revolver." And the servant went and said, "Yes, sir, I took out the revolver." He said, "Now go to the room and shoot both madam and that man." He said, "No, sir, I can't do that." "No, do it. You've been working on me for the last 20 years, you have to do it." The servant came back and he said, "Sir, I shot both the man and madam. Now what do I do?" He said, "Now take the bodies and throw them in the swimming pool at the back of the house." The servant said, "Sir, there is no swimming pool at the back of the house." He said, "Oh, sorry, wrong number," and he kept the phone. Most of us think of problems which do not actually exist. Do a reality check. You need not have that problem. Those problems don't actually exist. You know how do you check that? Do a small exercise. Write down all your worries today. Keep them in a drawer. Open them after 24 hours. Research has shown that 60% of those worries don't exist after 24 hours. If they still exist, scratch out the worries which have already gone. Then do one more thing, write them down again, keep it in the drawer and open it after 1 week. You will be surprised. 78 to 80% of worries vanish within 1 week. So understand this point very, very clearly. Do a reality check. Your problems are not as big as they seem. Finally, let's go to the last step. The last strategy in which you can overcome this worry. Let me tell you an incident which happened. I was invited to give a talk at an army base camp with one of my friends. And as I was going in the car over there, he was the commander of the army base over there, one of my friends, and I saw him that when we go into the car, as there is a tradition in the army, everybody salutes the commander of the army base. So they were saluting. And this man was muttering something. My friend who was the brigadier who was sitting next to me, he was muttering something. And I was wondering what he was saying, because he was talking to me. You know, Rajdeep, this army base camp is around 50 acres big. Same to you. You know, Rajdeep, there are around 20% of our army officers who don't know English at all. Same to you. And I kept asking him, what is the same to you? He keeps saying same to you. I asked him, what's the problem? He said, no, Rajdeep, you know, when I was there and I was not the commander of the army base, whenever I used to stand over there and I used to salute my officer commanding, I used to use words, hey, you bloody fool. And I used to salute. Somebody say, hey, whenever I used to pass by, I used to tell, oh, you dash, dash, dash. And then I used to salute. Now I am repeating the same thing. Whatever bad words they are giving me, I am also telling them. Same to you, yeah. Okay. And they keep telling me same to you in that particular way. He had done something very intelligent. He had replaced his worries by something solid. And I want you to tell you the same thing. Why don't you replace your worries by something positive, something good, something exciting? The moment you have a worry, replace them by something good. Like that army officer had replaced his worry about what they thought of him by saying same to you. I'll tell you another incident. There was this boy who came to my staff room and he was absolutely worried. He came and he started crying on my lap and he was weeping, sir. My girlfriend, she left me, sir. I was with her for the last 6 months, sir. And I don't know what's going to happen. I spent 10,000 rupees on her, sir. And he was crying and I was getting worried. Not because he was crying. Because I had worn a light colored pant that day and I was worried I had to go to class after that. Correct? And I was worried, what will happen? My God, they'll be think that my worries were different. Might be they think I'll have to wear diapers after that. Correct? So I was getting really worried. Then I told him what happened. He said, no, sir, this girl, she's so envious. I can't talk to any girl. She's got so much hatred, sir. She gets so angry, sir. It was why. I told him, okay, listen here. Imagine a green devil of envy inside that girl. He said, yes, sir. I said, okay, now imagine a red devil of anger inside her. He told, yes, sir. I told, imagine that black devil of hatred inside her. He said, yes, sir. I said, see here, you should be happy that you had to bear with those devils only for 6 months. That girl has to live with them for the rest of her life. Isn't it better that we left her for 6 months? The point was that I replace those negative thoughts with something positive. And I want to tell you the same thing. Replace those thoughts. When I had got rejected nearly 17 times because of my eyesight, I couldn't get a job, I was blind, and everybody was telling me, my God, Rajdeep, you'll never get a job. And I called up one of my acquaintances for a job. And at that particular point of time, he told me, go and apply in a college. And I kept down the phone and my mother was standing behind me. So she asked me what happened. I told Ma, there's somebody who asked me to go and apply for the 17th college as a lecturer. She told, are you going to apply? I told, no Ma, I don't want to be insulted again. Everybody tells the same thing. You're blind, you can't take attendance, you'll never be able to take class. I don't want, I just don't want to do it. My mother told me something that day which replaced my negative thoughts. She told me, people can take away the spark from your eyes, never let them take away the spark from your heart. And I want to tell you the same thing. Replace, whenever you're worried, think of something positive, think of something better. So remember the 3 strategies. Recognize you do not have control Recognize that. Do a reality check. Your worries are not as big as you think they are. And finally, replace your negative thoughts and your worries by something more positive, something more pleasant. I would like to end with an Irish proverb, which is very famous. It says, there are only two things you have to worry about. Either you're healthy or you're sick. If you're healthy, there's nothing to worry about. And if you're sick, there are only two things to worry about. Either you live or you'll die. If you live, there's nothing to worry about. But if you die, there are only two things to worry about. Either you'll go to heaven or you'll go to hell. If you go to heaven, there's nothing to worry about. And even if you go to hell, you'll be so busy shaking hands with all your friends that you don't have anything to worry about. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.